Bonjour. I think it's just the worst time to do face cam for this, seeing as I am now sick, and I just got home from school, and so I look terrible. Alright, so there was a lot actually packed into these episodes, so much that I had to rewrite them a few times because when I was writing this, I couldn't comprehend what even happened. Believe it or not, this was actually the best draft I have for this. So let's dive into RWBY Volume 5, Chapter 6. The episode starts with Crow going around bar to bar looking for an old friend. He seems to kind of get scared by the bartender. Apparently, the bartender says that Crow's friend owes him money, so he's not gonna find his friend, probably. He ended up going back later anyway to just pay it off for him, because as we're about to see, he has no other choice in the matter. He goes along to the last house, that is the house of a woman named Heather. Sort of. He was asking where she was in a very blunt, or I would say rude tone, and then he finds out the hard way that, hey, she's dead or missing, so you look like an asshole, sir. The little girl just walked out saying, is mommy coming home? And he now has to deal with that he brought that conversation up upon the father now. Honestly, in this episode, I don't really like Crow, at least in the beginning. At this certain scene, he even just seems like an asshole to me. I mean, yeah, he has an excuse, he was tired, he's been going around for like a long amount of time, but I mean, there's an excuse, but I still think he was an asshole. He quickly ran out of contacts, they're all probably dead. Like I said, I didn't really like Crow in the beginning of the episode. I know they're trying to add humor to Crow, at least right now, because how terrible things are going. And then I guess now he's more hashtag quirky and relatable, but I just didn't find it funny, honestly. We finally go back to the bandits camp with Raven, Weiss, and Yang. They're all just having a tea party at this point, and I found that really amusing. All cuddled around a little really short table for tea. Oh, would you like some sugar, dear? Maybe later, I guess. Yang asked them about the truth of what Raven was going to say at the end of chapter 4, but Raven seems to deflect anything, hence that TC that I spent probably too much time trying to edit. It kind of, confused me a little bit because she brought them into the tent to tell them the truth in the first place, but now she's just kind of making it prolong. Like, is she trying to tell them the truth or not? I'm not exactly sure on that one, probably going too much into it. I guess Yang gets this from her mother.
Yang, are you okay? I'll be fine once we could get her to take us to RWBY. It's okay if you're not okay. You didn't believe what she said, right?
These master deflectors. She says, well, I mean, the tea's really better hot. And Weiss is like, I mean, you're really obnoxious. And it was really childish, and I found that really funny. I honestly laughed at that scene, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Weiss was raised to be such a proper, well-mannered adult, and seeing her act like a child and being so snarky is just really funny to me. It's a blessing. This is probably my third favorite scene in this episode. You'll see why it's not higher in a minute. Moving on, Raven's pretty bitter, and I find this very funny. She's just bagging on Crow, implying that she has experience with him being untrustworthy, and honestly, twins, I can see how you would get that experience. We get to learn that Crow and Raven actually went to Beacon originally to learn to kill other huntsmen. I didn't really expect that. Yeah, huntsmen just got in the way of their raids in their tribe, so like, hey, no, just kill them off at this point. It was a really insightful thing that we got to learn about, actually, about them. We got to see their childhoods more, and we got to see some light on their tribe, what they do exactly. They do raids. As said, they did raids, and huntsmen were getting in the way of that, so they sent a couple of teenagers to Beacon so they could learn all their tricks. That's a pretty solid plan, if you ask me. I would totally do that. Raven tells the two that Ozpin has a bunch of followers in every single academy that are loyal to him, and only him. Which, a lot of good that did to you. Good ol' Ozpin. Lionheart. He says this is what makes him untrustworthy. Finally, Raven tells him about Salem, the big bad evil that they're up against. Yang doesn't believe her, obviously. Wins Raven and sells Crow and Ty, though.
Otherwise, you'll end up just as blind as Crow. And your fool of a father.
Fernell has a cool looking weapon, though I think RWBY would totally appreciate that. Yang accuses her mother of not knowing anything about her or her life, aka her family, her team, and basically what she's been up to. She left them. How could she possibly know anything about her or care to know anything about her life? Raven's like, I know more than you think, and to prove it, she says a few unrelated things to the whole Yang situation about her being neglected. Salem, people who can come back from the dead, and magic. The thing about Salem is obvious, but I want to know more about their relationship. Yeah, apparently her and Raven have a deal to do something about the bandits. in the war. I don't really remember the details. Did they know each other before, though? I mean, some fans speculated that Raven's the one who killed Summer, for crying out loud. To be fair, last I heard about that one was a few months ago, before Volume 5 even aired. The part about the Back to the Dead thing probably refers to Osmond and his reincarnation process, unless she actually knows people, or something that can bring people back from the dead after they've actually died. If it's true, can Pyrrha come back? Kinda miss her. But like, what's the magic part? Speaking of magic, we finally get to see why Crow can turn into a bloody bird at the end of Volume 3, during Volume 4, like, everyone was like, is that his semblance? But no, because he's bad luck. I mean, I don't know. Osmond presumably used magic on them, so now they can shift into birds. Now I say presumably because it's not actually stated that he used magic to turn us into birds, but it's heavily implied after Raven says in a very bitter and resentful tone.
Well, I doubt he ever told you what Oz did to my brother and me.
Ing and Rice run outside and a bird flies over them. More specifically, a raven flies over them. Yang is like, I think I've seen that raven before, and I would assume there'd be like a special marking on its wing or something that'll differentiate it from literally every other bird on the planet, but I mean, I guess not. She's just really, really good at telling what birds look like and what differences that they have. So in 30 seconds, there's no dialogue, they're in an empty courtyard. There's eerie music playing that's slowly getting faster and faster in pace. The raven is soaring through the trees. And then BAM! It's Raven! She literally just turned from a bird to a human in front of them! I can't believe Osmond turned him into birds, though. I mean, what was his actual goal? Yang is pretty surprised, like, oh damn, that bird was actually my mom! Raven gives them the option to stay at the camp and have all the answers that Yang ever wants, and a fresh start, or go to Crow and join Osmond's war and basically meet the fate that a lot of others did, aka death. Alright, I have a few side notes here. First, Raven seemed to genuinely want a fresh start by the look on her face. Even when Yang said she was going to go to RWBY, she seemed to actually have a disappointed look on her face. Second, when she said,
and meet the same fate as so many others.
She was quieter, but her tone seemed to leave a sour taste in her mouth. I can only think of her relationship with Summer and how Summer died for this war for literally no reason. She just kind of went off and died. I really hope that when Yang finally gets to Team Ranger that her, RWBY, and Crow all sit down and have a talk about Summer and what actually happened, because I really think that Yang and especially RWBY deserve to know everything that happened. Raven says if Yang sides with Crow, she won't be as kind as she was this time. Yang snaps back with a, you weren't kind this time either. Once Yang leaves and the portal's closed, Raven actually seems to look frustrated and slightly pained, and she's just like, I know. And like, ow! Flash to Crow and he thinks Raven's coming out of the portal, and then he's like, oh, well, I guess I was incorrect. Flash to Ranger being genuinely happy and cooking dinner for everybody. Crow gets home and calls RWBY over to the front. She does the most dramatic thing I think anyone can do in a movie when they're surprised. She's holding a tea set, and she sees Weiss and Yang, and she just drops it, and it shatters all over the place. Like, great, geez, now she hates teapots too. I think that tea set was a representation of all the fans' hearts during that scene, just shattering all over the floor. RWBY immediately breaks down and starts apologizing to Yang, bless her heart, and saying how she should have stayed and helped out with Yang, but she didn't know she actually, wanted her there. I think this shines a little bit of light on how much guilt RWBY's been feeling for the last 6 months, even if it's just a little bit. Yang does this.
I love you. I love you too.
And I know I've been showing a lot of clip scenes, but I just can't describe some of these scenes. They're just so genuinely pure and they hurt, and just my heart, oh my god, they're so good. You finally get to hear Yang say I love you back to RWBY, which was the last thing RWBY said to her at the end of Volume 3 before she went off on a journey. I think RWBY really needed to hear that. I know a lot of the fans did. RWBY and Yang are hugging, what sisters do after months apart of not being together in the middle of a war. Weiss is staying back, letting them be, all happy and stuff, like, oh, you two siblings, hug it out, She's probably thinking she doesn't really have a place in the situation. RWBY and Yang invite her into the hug, and she just goes right in there. She's a hugger, Jesus Christ. Also, Klein did say that at the end of Volume 4 that Winter would probably be the only family she had left after she ran away from the manor. But the fact that Weiss is hugging Ruby and Yang makes me think, hey, they're also my family, and I love them. And like, that's just so amazing. Like, roll the song. Side note, I don't know if it's because Yang is leaning forward, it probably is, but she's on her toes, and she and Ruby are the same height. Is Ruby taller than Weiss now? Wait a minute. The measurements include the heels. If the measurements didn't include all of their heels, the heel of the foot would be where the line is. Wait a second. Was Ruby taller than her all along? Seeing as Weiss's heels are like 3 inches and Ruby's are like platforms of 1 inch possibly, the answer is probably yes. I spent way too much time on that. Alright, so there's the episode. I really like Weiss acknowledging that Yang was hurting and feeling hurt and anger towards her mother for leaving them and everything else that's happening. I love how she asked if she's okay and that it's alright if she's not okay. People need to hear that these days. Alright, so I'm gonna be honest. I think I love Raven. I really do. I'm always drawn to characters who seem to have a negative or dark backstory, or even characters that have a mystery backstory that could potentially be dark. Hence why I like Weiss and Neo so much. I really hope we can see her more later on in the volume. I meant Raven, not Neo or Weiss. But it would be great to see Neo again. That would be amazing. I don't want her arc just to end because Yang isn't there anymore. Like, for crying out loud, Raven's housing the Spring Maiden. The rest of them have to go back eventually. I just hope it's not next volume. I want it to still be this volume. Still the Raven thing, though. I don't think she's a terrible mother or not. I mean, yeah, she abandoned Yang right after she was born and didn't make any attempt to contact her. But she allegedly did watch over her for many years as a Raven. I mean, she may not have intervened when anything bad happened. Oh, I'm sorry. The second time something bad happened. But I mean, she still knows her. How much do you want to bet that she actually knows a lot about little baby Yang, right down to the tiny details? Plus, in a literal sense about ravens. This article says how ravens are quite vigorous at defending their young and are usually quite successful at driving off perceived threats. I mean, she may not have been there, but maybe she attacked certain animals and stuff to keep them away. I'm not exactly sure. I'm trying to help out as much as I can at this point. Honestly, I think everything I said throughout this video is everything I really need to say for this week's episode. What were your guys' opinions on the episode? What did you feel when the reunion happened? One of the big reunions. I legitimately cry. Like, usually I'm like, I'm crying. It was so emotional. I didn't always cry. I'm just being dramatic, but I wanted to cry. But this time I actually cried. There were tears coming out of my eyes, and I was dying. Also, before I forget, tell me if you actually prefer the face cam. It's probably usually would be here, but I would look less terrible. I feel like I sound a lot less fake when I'm saying these, and I have a little bit more, like, fun opinion. My school recently went off strike, so I don't have as much time to spend hours editing one video with a bunch of different clips. I mean, let's be completely honest here. I wrote the script on the Saturday the episode came out on the Rooster Teeth site. I didn't edit it until yesterday, which was Wednesday. I'm recording this on Thursday, and I'm finishing editing this on Friday just before I upload this. So I'm stupid for not doing this way earlier. I could have done this when I wasn't sick. I could have done this when I looked better. This is all me. This is all my fault. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, it really boosts my self-esteem. Make sure to subscribe and turn on that little bell so you can see these every week. See you guys then.
And you forever I'll follow. You'll be my holy ground. You forever I'll follow.